All right, what's up, guys? We're not going to wait too long here. I'm already a few minutes late. So we're going to get into it. We got a pop-up live stream this evening, and I thought I was going to be doing a live stream on Thanksgiving, and I knew the likes were going to go live. They ended up going, I think, at 8:30 p.m., and for me, I just wasn't feeling it. Spent the day with family. Sarah's side, my side. It's like not going to happen today, but I thought we could do a pop-up. So that's what we're doing tonight, Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then I will be live this coming Thursday as normal. It'll be the last late night live stream, I think. And then we can get back to a regular time, at least for 1 week. It might alternate, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter, but I'm excited. We've got a bunch of cool stuff to do tonight. It's been a while since I've done like a straight up blind flight. So we're gonna get into one of those this evening, sent in from my friend, channel supporter, all that kind of good stuff, Ashton. I've had this flight, I don't know, a month or 2 months at this point, and I need to start getting through some of the blinds that people have sent me. So I've got a blind flight to do. I don't think I'm going to wait all the way to the end to do it. Probably towards the end of the stream will be the Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon, only because it's 140.9 proof. And typically if I do that before a blind flight, all bets are off at that point. So we will get to that Garrison Brothers Cowboy 2023 edition. And I want to say thank you to Zach Butler for sending that sample my way. That arrived a few days ago, kind of randomly, which is awesome. He sent along not only the Garrison Brothers, but also another 2 ounces of Stag 23A. If you remember last week on the live stream, I did that 3-way Stag comparison. I did the Elijah Craig 4-way comparison, and the rankings for the Elijah Craig were really weird. So I am going to go back and redo that. Not tonight, but I thought, I would give away the rest of that 23A sample of Stag. Zach was amazing and very quickly sent another 2 ounces so that I had it to actually make a video review for it. So that's great. So he sent that. He sent the Garrison Brothers, and he sent a mystery sample. So at some point in this stream, this very dark mystery sample, I'll get into this, try to figure out what it might be. I have only a few ideas of what something this dark could be if it's not a Dusty. So we'll check that out. So lots of cool stuff. I'm also going to take another quick comparison, Stag 23A to 22A, not blind this time. I know that 22B was for sure my last place last week, but these two I couldn't decide, and so I'll just do a quick little side by side of those things. We'll get into a revisit of the Augusta Buckners. I'll tell you why we're doing that. And that's it. So hit that like button on your way in. Let's get a few more folks hanging out. I know it's a pop-up live, not the regular time nor the regular day, but that's okay. Let's get started with the Little Eagle Rare store pick as we normally do. I'm going to say cheers to you guys. Check out who's in the live chat. So let's have a good night, guys. Hope everybody's having a great Thanksgiving weekend. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. All that kind of good stuff. Yeah, Jeff, exactly. Just 140.9 proof. I know. So we're going to see what's going on with that. I actually think Jeb, who's usually in the live chat, was going to send me that Cowboy Bourbon, and maybe he was going to send it with a 2022. We had talked about it. I don't think anything was confirmed or anything like that. So Jeb, if you're watching, I at least have what appears to be about an ounce of this Garrison 2023. So we'll see what that's all about. Let's see, Joe Dickinson, what's up, man? Good to see you. Zach, the man of the hour, with the mystery sample, with the Garrison Brothers, with the Stag 23A. Pretty much half the reason or more that we're doing the live stream is because Zach hooked it up this week. I thought that I would have the Bardstown Discovery 11 by tonight because I have 3 of those coming. And one of them 100% is going to be for a giveaway. Everybody's been talking about this Discovery 11. And also, it's been selling out quickly with the online retailers that have been putting it up. Like, I think Bourbon Outfitter immediately sold out. I snagged mine on Sealbox, which those are gone now. I think Shared Pour had it up. I don't know if they still do. But we're going to give away a Discovery 11. But because it's not here tonight, that'll be on this coming Thursday's late night stream. We'll give one of those away. No giveaway tonight. Of course, if you still want to support the channel, I won't I won't say no. It would be great to have some support. It's been kind of a slow month for all this kind of stuff. So, of course, you can super chat to your heart's content. What's up, JG? Good to see you, man. Whiskey cheers. GT Mustang 09 says cheers. Mike B. Jeff Perkins. Toshi, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Yeah. William says, Cam on a restroom break already? Not quite. Soon enough, though. I'm sure we'll get there. Good to see you, Peter White, Aaron Pierce. Jay, you're right. I was fashionably late. Although not so fashionable. I got out of the shower. I'm like, I'm not going to put any freaking gel in my... I'm just going to put a hat on. We're going to go do a live stream. All right, Mark Vasco and Christine. Good to see you, too. Mark says, look at this guy on a Saturday. How are you, Cam? I'm good. I feel like I've been flirting with getting sick, but not just Thanksgiving week or anything like that, like for 3 weeks at this point. So like an hour ago, my throat got a little scratchy and I was like, I'm not going to overreact to this because I've been having these every other day. It feels like I'm getting a scratchy throat and then it goes away. So it's like, whatever, dude, we're going to do this live stream, but I'm good. Yeah, I like jumping on here Saturday night, you know. Obviously, the OSU Michigan game earlier didn't go the way of Ohio State, but I don't think, I mean, if you were being realistic, it kind of ended in a storybook way on the wrong side of the storybook, you know. It's like we pretty much opened up the game throwing an interception. Everyone's talking about, McCord now, he ain't it at quarterback, and the game ends with the interception. It was like you couldn't have wrote it any better than that. In the worst way possible. Yeah, Mark says, I had the same thing this week. Yeah, Sarah's been talking about it too. It's like, I don't know. I think my body is just trying to fight it off, whatever it is. But it's been weeks at this point, so whatever. Yeah, Adam says, wait till you have a kid. We have some friends who are, they have a newer, younger kid. One... Why am I putting it? They got a newer kid and an older kid. No, we have some new parents that are friends, and they're always getting sick. So, Mark says, Cam Buckner's, does that have to do with the thing that showed up on the OHLQ site? No, actually, Mark, I'm a little late to the game on this. So, guys, let's talk about it real quick. Move this eagle rear out of the way. And we'll probably get to this Buckner's here in like maybe second on the stream. The reason I wanted to revisit this, number one, I've got a sample of a different barrel from Daniel Patterson sent me this maybe, 2 years ago, year and a half ago at this point. And I've had this bottle for quite a while. I put out my review, which I remember was like a 20-minute review. It was way unnecessarily long. It was stupid, but it got pretty good traction. And then all of a sudden, that video... a couple months ago started getting all these hits on it, and I was like, why are people suddenly watching my Buckner's video? It's because it won Bourbon of the Year at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. So I was like, in my mind thinking, I need to revisit this soon. Slipped my mind. I saw it today on the shelf and I was like, you know what, let's revisit this thing, because for a long time, myself included and a lot of whiskey tubers, we were just complaining about the price tag of this, and it was before $200 was like, the normal price tag for a limited release. Now things have caught up, and the Buckner seems priced pretty reasonably considering what it is. But, anyways, I thought I'd revisit this today, see how it actually stacks up now that my palate is a few more years developed at this point. If I, still have the same complaints I used to about it, or whatever the case may be. So we'll check that out. What's up, Daniel? Daniel, I saw you at the Washington game earlier. I didn't catch it, but I saw the result there. Real quick, before we... Yeah, and Mark, I did... So then I went... So speaking of OHLQ then, I did jump on the OHLQ site, and I just typed in Buckner's to see what the price point was. So it looked like it was still $200, I believe. But I saw a 15-year on there. So if that's what you're talking about, I was like, oh, maybe we're getting the 15-year. And I know that Sealbox had released some really crazy high-proof Buckner's barrels, hazmat stuff that people were paying crazy prices for. I thought that was kind of stupid, but whatever. Yeah, Mark, there it is. 10-year also. I did see that. So, guys, real quick, in the spirit of kind of revisiting things, I don't know if you remember that Bardstown Bourbon Company had an Oloroso sherry-finished MGP bourbon. I believe it was MGP. Oloroso sherry-finished at 50% ABV. I saw the sample on the shelf the other day. I was like, let me check this out. Because I sold my open bottle locally. I wasn't a big fan of it at the time. I'm revisiting this thing, and I'm telling you, it is a sherry bomb. It is crazy sherry finished. If any of you have this bottle, go grab it and pour some. I cannot believe how much like a Dusty this Bardstown Oloroso sherry finish smells and tastes like. It is remarkable. It actually reminds me of the Ezra Brooks 15 that I've got from the late 70s, or whenever it was, whenever we can date that bottle too. But that old Hoffman distillate, this totally reminds me of it, because a lot of those old whiskeys, including the old A.H. Hirsch stuff, actually taste more like sherried scotch than it does bourbon. So this thing, for me, I poured it the other night. I let Sarah smell it, didn't tell her what it was, and she thought it was a Dusty. Crazy. I cannot believe it. Daniel says, that 15 came out probably a year ago and disappeared so quick, they just leave stuff on their site too long. Interesting. Well, the fact that it popped up, Daniel, on the Ohio Liquor website, that means it must be coming to us finally. It wasn't on the distillery site, it was on ours, which is kind of interesting. I would love to try it, Adam says, Revival in Covington at a 140 plus pick. Oh, I bet that was awesome. Yeah, that's the stuff that people were paying way too much money for. Cannot believe this Bardstown sample, though. So if anybody has this bottle or has the chance to try it, let me know what you think of it. Very good stuff. All right. That can be the dump cup for this evening. So let's get into some of these Buckners now. So on your left side is going to be this sample that Daniel P. in the chat sent me some time ago. 123.4 proof, so 1234. 123.4. My bottle is 121.9, so we'll basically say these things are even. And these are certainly on the higher side of the proof spectrum when it comes to these Buckner's picks, at least when they first came out. Nowadays, obviously, like we're saying, we're seeing these 140-plus proof picks hitting shelves, or not really hitting shelves. They're just quickly disappearing from online retailers. But let's check this out now. I'm going to start with my bottle, which has, again, been open for quite a while. Not a lot left in here, so big air to liquid ratio. We'll start there. Yeah, it would be cool, Daniel, if it's coming back around. Yeah, there we go. So on the nose, there's a note in here that I was picking up on the Calumet 16, Calumet Farm 16, which again, I wasn't the craziest about the 16. I thought it had a weird thing to it, which is what I'm getting here. It's that bubblegum note. So yeah, medicinal cherry Barton for sure on this Buckner's. Bubblegum like the Calumet Farm 16. So right away what I'm getting are notes from Calumet Farm 15 and 16. 15 being the medicinal cherry, 16 being that kind of bubblegumminess to it. Underneath that, I would call out another two notes. Those are like the primary. Medicinal cherry, bubblegum primary. Right underneath that, I would call out vanilla ice cream. There's a nice vanilla note that's developed on this. And I would also go with that Dr. Pepper spice that I think I probably talked about when I first reviewed this thing. I really like that note, that Dr. Pepper kind of note that you get on some of these higher proof Bartons. I think as the proof drops, whether you add water or it's a lower cast strength, I think you lose some of that Dr. Pepper spice. It turns a little bit more funky medicinal cherry sweet. So when it comes to these, I understand the desire, especially for those people chasing, those really expensive ones, but I understand the desire for those higher proof Buckner's releases, or just any Barton cast strength, single barrel, etc. Yeah, and interestingly, there's kind of a young-ish, like there's definitely funky aged oak on here, but there's also a little bit of a young oak note too. A little bit of that cardboard, yeah, raw wood kind of note to this. It's not terrible, but it definitely is there. All right, let's get it on the palate. I'm sure this is going to change once I get it on the palate. It's a great palate. Zach Butler, yeah, this is Barton. So this was kind of in the heyday about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago maybe, when everybody was complaining about all this sourced Barton hitting the market. Blue Run 13, Blue Run 14, Augusta Buckners. We were seeing the Calumet 14, 15, 16, the Sam Houston 12, 14, 15, just all that kind of stuff. I know I'm missing some of those too. I could probably turn around and, throw a freaking dart and hit some sourced Barton. Of course, Magnus Cigar Blend was doing a lot of Barton in some of those blends too. But yeah, this was right at the beginning when people were like, "Whoa, $200! What are we doing here?" From the first release from a distillery that wasn't even distilling yet, and I think they are officially distilling nowadays. At least that facility is built or at the end of being built, I would imagine. What's up, guys? We got some more folks getting in here. Hit that like button on your way in. Right now, we're getting into just a quick comparison of two different Buckner's single barrels. Again, the world's best bourbon from the San Francisco Spirits Competition this year. So it's been a few months since that happened, but I wanted to kind of review these and see what's going on with them. Re-review, I suppose. Yeah. All right. So let's move on. We'll go back and forth here in a second, but let's move on to this higher proof. That was 121.9. This is going to be 123.4. Ooh, the nose on this one, even with just a little proof bump. Yeah, it's a little more closed off and spicy, but I'll take that because the intensity on the nose here is more along the lines of what I would want from this kind of a profile. So when I do this comparison side by side on the nose now, I would say overall, you're dealing with a pretty consistent profile. The difference being the one coming out of my bottle has some of that spice is not there in that intensity, and there's actually kind of a lemon meringue note. Now, actually, you know what I want to say? Juicy fruit gum. A little bit of a juicy fruit gum, which makes it feel almost watered down, almost a little bit dull and flat. And this one has a lot more cinnamon spice to it. And I just think this profile, which is so medicinal cherry, so fruity, sweet, I think it needs a little bit more of that spice kick to kind of bring it fully out of the glass. Yeah. Yeah. Much better on that one. So, whiskey of the year material or bourbon of the year material on either of these, I don't know about that. I mean, it's easy to say that about just anything that's in front of you to go, I don't know. It's a very easy thing to say, I understand, but where these stand for me is like pretty it's a reliable $200 you're going to be spending if you pick one of these things up. I'm not saying that's the right price. I'm just saying that is the price. And if you pay it between these two barrels, the fact that they're pretty consistent, one's got a little more of this proofy thing to it, but overall the profiles are in line. I don't think you're going to go wrong spending this money if you want to try something high proof, single barrel, intense profile aged whiskey. I don't know that even this better sample I don't know that either of these are whiskey of the year material. So anyways, I do think it's interesting. I think they are very solid products. And now that the pricing in the market has caught up to the pricing of these bottles from 2.5 years ago, now this doesn't seem like such an absurd thing to buy. We do have a 15-year in Ohio, like Mark and I were talking about a second ago. Price point on that 15-year is $300. I would assume that's SRP because we're in a control state. 2 additional years of aging for another $100. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That price increase, I don't think the evaporative loss between 13-year barrels and 15-year barrels is going to warrant that additional $100. I just don't think that makes any sense. I would love to try one. If I saw it on the shelf, I would be kind of tempted to buy it. But it's $300 for a 15-year. I mean, that's just kind of crazy. So, anyways, cool comparison nonetheless. I do want to say this real quick. It's kind of throwing me off. This sample of Buckner's from Daniel has this note, this rubberiness that I get. Like I had an aged and or travel decanter that I've complained about ad nauseum on the channel, that I had some whiskey sitting in that decanter for years, and the whiskey is completely tainted, tastes like rubber, which I would imagine is from the rubber stopper in the top of that decanter. I actually threw it out like last week, poured the whiskey out and tossed a decanter. That sample bottle, the whiskey coming out of here has that exact same taste. And what's interesting about this is the whiskey that has come out of the aged and or samples, the travel sample bottles, not the decanter, also gets that flavor to it, this weird rubberiness. And if the proof for me is that I got that note on some of the samples that Sarah packed for me for Whiskey Wear episodes when I was in Buffalo last month. I don't know, like, it's not something I'm making up, because side by side, this Buckner's that I just tried doesn't have it, and this one surely has it. I mean, it's very obvious to me. I wonder if it's not the result of some of these whiskeys staying in these bottles too long and having these pieces at the top. Like, the whiskey was not in contact with this little rubber piece on the inside, this little seal. It's not even rubber, it's like a plastic. But I wonder if whiskeys can develop that weird smell from either the container, or would it just be the fact that it's sitting in here so long? I don't know. Weird. Mike B, is it similar to Lucky 7 Proprietor? I think the Lucky 7s were better. I think by and large that was better stuff, but it was actually kind of an off-profile Barton. Christine Vasco says juicy fruit with the burn. That's okay. I feel vindicated on the juicy fruit note. It's probably about time to kill this. I don't know if I'll kill it. I mean, there's not that much left, but I'm not trying to just sip on this all night. This is the remainder of the Lucky 7s that I own. Okay, there will be one more sip of this bottle left after this. So who asked about the Lucky 7s? Mike B. So, Mike, this is that fabled barrel number 72 that I used to have a million of. I got rid of a lot of them. I sold them off because I was like, I don't need to hang on to... I had a whole case of these things. But this barrel in particular, I think I tried 12 different barrels of this stuff. This barrel was easily, far and away, the best of the bunch. Yeah, and it's a little more off-profile Barton because the proofs are so high, and I would imagine that the storage conditions of the barrels and everything like that were a little bit different. It's not quite as sweet as it's not quite as sweet and medicinal in the way that the Buckner's is, and a lot of other Barton source stuff. The reason that I like this so much is because it's a little spicier, a little more of like a Heaven Hill kind of sweetness to it, which is why when these were first released, everybody, including me, and I was really in this camp, we were doubting that this was Barton because it just did not resemble Barton. Oh my God. It's like raspberry jam. So that was one hell of a bottle, and something I'll be sad to see it go, but it was very much enjoyed and shared around. Mark Vasco says the alcohol vapors could degrade the plastic. I thought about that. Yeah, I don't know enough about something like that to understand if that could be the case. But it's seeming to me like a consistent thing with some of these. I don't know. I wish there was a way to test that. Sugar Kitty, yeah, guys, please hit that like button if you wouldn't mind. Let's get a few more folks hanging out this evening. So, Mike, I would say, actually, when you're looking at value in the market, I would probably pick a Lucky 7 proprietary. I wouldn't probably. I would 1,000,000% pick a Lucky 7 over an Augusta Buckner's. Yeah. So I think you actually end up saving about $50. I think these are usually around $150. Maybe they've gone up a bit in the last year. I would go here first. So bourbon of the year, unless it was a super honey barrel, which probably it was if they were sending it to a competition. Otherwise, Lucky 7. Okay. One other quick thing. I just watched Fred Minnick's review of this. So I didn't know that he had reviewed C923. I haven't really been keeping up with Whiskey Tube stuff. Although I did see, we'll talk about that in a second. So Fred reviewed C923, and he also wasn't crazy about it. And people in the comment section were talking about the laser codes, which someone mentioned to me on a stream maybe a month and a half ago, where if the laser code is A22, a lot of people are saying this is not the best. And if it's A23, people are saying that it is the C923 that everyone's talking about. Now, there have been some discrepancies, people in the comments saying, well, I have an A22 laser code and, mine is really good. So, I don't know. But supposedly 23 is the great one. Mine's 22. So mine is the one that people are saying is not the great C923. Just an interesting tidbit. I actually would love to find somebody that has one with the laser code A23 and do a side-by-side comparison. Because obviously last week this did not do so hot in my blind. And I haven't had great things to say about it. But I wonder which one Fred has. If he's got the 22 or the 23 laser code. Be very interesting to see, Yeah, this thing's only gotten better with air, I will say. There's a little note in here, like the high alcohol burn, which again I think is a little unbalanced because of it. I think actually the high alcohol burn is starting to resemble a 2019 batch, where it's kind of got that little funky dustiness to it. In terms of the alcohol, which is its own kind of note in Elijah Craig barrel proofs when they used to be really hot, like C919, that high ethanol kick that you get from it also has a dusty note to the ethanol. Same thing for batch 11, the Pirate bottle. This is starting to get that as the bottle is sat open. So a lot of 23s. Yeah, that's the thing. Joe says, I have an A22. Tasted pretty damn good. I got the A22 also. And again, if you're rewatching this or you're just now tuning in, we're talking laser code, not batch number. And that's the thing. Again, Joe, this is obviously not a bad whiskey. To me, it's just not what everyone's hyping it up to be. But maybe that A23 is the one that I need to check out. William Molnar says, Cam, I can send you a sample. Dude, that would be awesome. I usually would be like, that's kind of a lot to do just for one sample. Like, I feel bad. I'm very curious about this. So if you want to do that, man, I'm not going to say no to that. Thad Bureau says, just showed up watching the Kansas State-Iowa State game. Glad it's warmer in Texas. Tell us about that. We're going to get to that Hazmat Cowboy soon, man. Check back in. If you're going between the game and this, check back in. All right. So, yeah, next Thursday's stream, I cannot wait to get into that Bardstown Discovery 11 when it gets here. Very excited for that. Looking forward to it. William says probably add a few more samples. Again, I won't say no to that, man. All right, so we're going to go into blind flight mode now. Again, this is a blind flight. It's going to be 5 pours. There's no theme or anything like that was given. Basically, what happened is Ashton sent this answer key, and I'm trying not to look at it a lot because the marker has bled through on this side. So he just sent this answer key. What I did is I gave it to Sarah, and I said, Sarah, write out some black note cards for it. And that's the flight we're going to do now. So 5 pours. After this 5 pour flight, we're going to do a mystery sample from Zach. We'll do a Stag 22 and 23A comparison unblind, because I want to get into those a little bit more. After last week's blind, when I couldn't really pick a winner between those two, I ended up going with 23A. But we'll do that side by side after this blind. We'll do Zach's mystery sample, and then we will close out with the Garrison Brothers Cowboy 140.9, because you can't do that early in the night or I won't be able to taste anything. So that's the plan from this point forward. I'm going to get 5 glasses up here. Got to get one more. I've been irresponsible with my glass usage thus far. Hang on. Zach says, damn it, I have an A22. Yeah, I don't know the truth to this, but it is a valid question when you start talking about how they actually put together these 30,000 plus bottle batches of stuff like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Like, how does that blending work? Are there sub batches? Probably. There probably have to be. And in that case, how different are those batches from one another? All right, so let's lay these black note cards out. Then I'll get these samples poured. Sarah wrote these out for me a few weeks ago. I hope there are no issues with any of these note cards. She said she wrote down as much relevant information as she could from the answer key that Ashton sent with these 5 pours. I need to make a little more room, I guess. I also need to get test card. Okay. I need a little blind flight action in my life. Jason says a few local stores have Cowboy on the shelf. Curious to see your review. Okay. I don't think we see Cowboy. I don't even know if we see any Garrison Brothers actually in Ohio. I'd have to check the website. Wow, some of these. So Ashton, who sent these samples for this blind, has a pretty gnarly whiskey collection in a very good way. So I'm curious to see what he has sent. The colors on some of these, yeah. They're not light. Glass A maybe is a little lighter, but that doesn't really mean anything. But the dark colors definitely mean something. Let's see. Joe says we don't get Garrison Bros. We do get some TX and Balcones. Okay. All right, guys, let me check out the secondary camera to make sure we're going to be good for the... for this stuff. Let's see. Cool. We are in focus. Nice. All right, so as we get going through this blind flight, as usual, like, let me know if you need to see something again. I'll show it at the beginning of each pour. And just a reminder, please, no spoilers in the chat. I'll go over this one more time. It's been a while. If I reveal something on a card and obviously I'm not looking at the screen because I can see myself on the screen. I turn my head. You can see me turn my head. If I throw up a card and it says Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, number one, don't say what it is in the chat. Number two, don't just start talking about Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I'll notice that. Like, I can't help but notice it. And then number three, don't talk. I don't know. Don't do something that's obvious in the opposite direction. Don't do something that's going to just lend itself towards spoiling it. That's the best I can give. And if there's a mod in the house and that happens, time that person out. It just is what it is. We've had some interesting moments with that over the years. Oh, it says there's Garrison Brothers small batch near me. Huh. I had no idea. Toshi says, I have the Cowboy from this year. Best I've had from Garrison, but that Texas Funk's still very strong. Don't love the nose. Palate finish are better. Okay, we'll see. I mean, look. What's it called? Kings County. Kings County. I traditionally have not really enjoyed too much of their stuff, but that blend that Alex Halverson sent a few weeks ago, that private blend is really, really, really good. And it does have a little funk to it, a little craftiness, but it's so tamed down and so balanced that I don't think you can complain about it. It's kind of like 13th Colony, where there's a little craftiness to it, but if you complain about it, you're wrong because it's just good. All right, let's get on with this now. Oh, Thad says, I think still Austin is better. Yes, I agree by and large. And also, I need to get back to them. They offered to send another bottle my way, another new release, which I'm excited for. All right, here we go. I'll show you Glass A. Let's get the test card up. Boom. Okay. Turn the head now. This is Glass A. Let me know if you need to see it again. Leave it up for a few seconds. 3, 2, 1, and we're down. Okay. Cool. This is the test. Yeah. So there we go. That's Glass A. GT Mustang says Kings County Empire Rye. I don't think I've ever had one of their ryes. But some of that, when you think about really craftier whiskey like that, a lot of times you expect that on some of those ryes. And I think that's where it's a little more accepted also. All right. Ashton Flight. A, B, C, D, E. So I'll just try to guess stats on these and guess bottles and see how we do. That says get that blue corn. I think that's the one that they offered to send, actually. I would need to confirm that. Katie from Still Austin. New winter limited release, bottled in bond, blue corn edition. There we go. So maybe that's the one. Yeah. Can't wait. All right, Glass A. Glass A, coming off, closed off on the nose. Some elements of this are making me think high-proof Irish whiskey, actually. That could work with the color. Yeah, it's got that kind of Irish whiskey, like biscuit note. And when you get them up to a high proof and they're not super old, it does get a little ethanol, white pepper forward and closed off. But that biscuit, honey, vanilla, shortbread kind of note, I'm pushed in the direction of high proof Irish. That's a weird one. I don't think it's Irish anymore. I'm getting too much caramel, black pepper. It kind of, I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue. What this reminds me of, on the American whiskey side of things. I don't love it. I don't think there's enough flavor going on here. There's a lot of ethanol, a lot of unbalanced spice and proof. What could this be? Mike B says, thanks, Cam. I'm out. We'll catch the rest later. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for being here, man. I know a lot of people balancing football, balancing family time, Saturday night. There's stuff to do. I get it. Jason Mounts says, C923 I have open is an A22 and the backup A23. Well, that sounds like maybe you got to pop the backup early and do a comparison. All right, let's see. I don't know. This could be like a Bernheim barrel proof, maybe, this Glass A. Yeah, there's maybe a little nuttiness to it. It's like there's just not enough flavor in the whiskey itself, but the proof feels kind of high. And I think the reason I lean towards Irish was because maybe there's a different grain thing going on in this whiskey. Like it feels probably wheated to me. You could convince me it's malt, but I'll take some notes. Lacks flavor, possible wheat or malt. I believe it's American whiskey. Proofs. I mean, this feels like a cask strength product, but it doesn't feel like it's crazy high. I'm going like 119, 120. You know. I'll come back to proof, but I'm going to go 120 question mark. Age, I can't see this being over 8 years. Even then, that feels like a stretch. So, Glass A, not my favorite. Also, fairly light color on this. Okay, Glass B now, which is really dark. I think that's King of Kentucky. All right. Glass B is very good. Let me show you guys what's in Glass B. Oh my God. I'm not drinking very much of this tonight. I need to save the rest of the sample. Oh my God. Okay. So test card is up. Put the cursor over this. Okay. I'm going to turn my head. 3, 2, 1. There's B. Okay. Cursor should be over the... Oh, shit. Hang on. I think I should click it. I think if I click this, I should go full screen. You can tell me if it doesn't do that after the fact. I think we should be full screen on Glass B, which tastes amazing. All right. I think we should be off full screen. Let me put it down and down. I think that worked. All right. Cool. Test card out of the way. Whatever this Glass B is. Oh my God. Yeah, that's way better than Glass A. Okay, thanks, Zach. Looks like I was good. Little grassy finish on B. That's okay. I can look past it on this thing. Wow. I mean, this is like molasses, tar, leather. These are notes that remind me of King of Kentucky. Yeah, it just smells fudge. And like the best way I could describe this is it smells sludgy. Like imagine the word sludgy and imagine what the viscosity of that would be, you know? Something that you just like try to scoop it up and it's just extremely viscous, dense, you know, falling off in chunks, basically. Like, this smells that dense to me. I actually don't know that that's King of Kentucky. But it's in line with it for sure. That is insane whiskey. It doesn't quite get as sweet as you might expect that it would off the nose. It actually stays really dark, like really bitter sweet, favoring bitter. It tastes like a chocolate-covered espresso bean. Dark chocolate-covered espresso bean. Wow. Guesses on... That is insane. Guesses on proof. I'm going to go 131. Age, I have no idea. 15. If I have to, I'll just call it now. I'll call Brown-Forman, King of Kentucky. I don't think this is finished. Yeah. Bourbon, you know, all those good stats. We're not going to come back to B. I'm going to pour that back in the sample bottle because holy shit, that's insane whiskey. Whatever this is so good. But the reason I'm a little weird about calling it King of Kentucky, it just a little weird, is that it doesn't quite hit this sweet note for me. So whatever this is, if it's not King of Kentucky, I will be very interested to find out. I don't think it's a Coy Hill. You know, I don't think it's a Coy Hill. I hope it's something cheap, like a Jack Barrel Proof Rye. That would be incredible. All right. Glass C. Definitely more muted on the nose, Glass C. Dad says, I'm drinking it right now. Okay, well. Either you have deep pockets or whatever I'm drinking is not what I think it is. Okay, let me show you guys Glass C. Got the test card. Let's see here. Cool. Let's get this pulled up. Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. We should be up. Click. Should go full screen. All right. 3, 2, 1. We should be side by side. And there we go. Cool. Glass C now. And color-wise, Glass C also fairly dark whiskey. First thing I smell on this, really, really dry whiskey on the nose. Like dry dark fruits, dry kind of cheap young oak notes. Like I'm not saying it doesn't feel like an aged whiskey, but it feels like it has some of those young wood notes to it. And all of it just feels really dry. Menthol, there's a little menthol, a little bit of a vanilla bean. Those kind of notes both work together. Ooh, it's very good. But a few twists and turns. Oh. This is a weird whiskey. That's a really weird whiskey, Glass C. Could be finished. It hits some, like Glass B certainly had this, this chocolate covered espresso bean kind of thing. This has similar notes. It arrives to the finish before you think it should. Like it starts developing on the palate, then all of a sudden it just kind of collapses and you're in the finish. Developmentally, I don't like that about this whiskey. Obviously, that's just one sip, but first impressions, I think, do matter. The front of the palate is unbelievably good. And right now, it's like, where are we going? You know, like the flavor kind of falls out, and it turns very bittersweet all of a sudden. It's good. I don't quite understand this whiskey though, and the reason I feel like it could possibly have some sort of finish to it, like maybe even a stout cask or something. One would be the color, maybe, but two, it's that a lot of times when you finish whiskeys, you can create disjunct palate experiences, you know? Like sometimes a finish will add a lot of flavor punch to a whiskey, but then as it develops palate into the finish, it just starts to get weird. Like it doesn't become a comprehensive pour. That's kind of what Glass C's doing. I feel like proof on this is probably like 115. Yeah. It's funny. This makes A smell so light. I don't know. They feel comparable in proof. I'll go Glass C at, I'll go 120 proof. I mean, not sure. What's up, Copper Wolf? Jay says they're all flavored vodkas. Time to quit. If these are flavored vodkas, that would be hilarious, actually. Or if like none of these are whiskeys. Oh, hey, I got a Venmo super chat, a really generous one. Adam S. with a $40 super chat. And again, no giveaway tonight, Adam. And I hope you knew that before you sent it. So thank you. Or I'm sorry if you didn't know that. He says, appreciate all the insight and useful information about secondary markets. Not many channels provide as useful knowledge when it comes to those of us who would rather pay than camp out. Well, thanks. Yeah, man. I think there's a certain level for me of like realism that I try to have with all this, that, you know, being the person that would rather do an extra gig, you know, say yes to an extra gig and play that gig and make the money than sit in a lawn chair or in my car for 12 hours in front of a store and sleep there. And I don't know even where you pee when you're waiting in line. You know, like, are you pissing in a can, a bottle? Are you going to a porta potty? I don't know. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just play the extra gig and pay the money. So yeah, man, I try to be as realistic as possible for that side and for the other side as well. Brian, what's up, dude? He says, I stood outside in the freezing cold yesterday. I'm not opposed to, I think, dude, my limit, if I have some pretty decent guarantee, some majority percentage chance of getting something, you know, my limit's probably 3 hours. I did like an hour 15 the other week. It's the first time I've stood in a line in a year, 2 years, something like that. I did an hour 15 hoping for a Four Roses LE, and it did not happen. And I once I got to the end, once I got to the counter, I'm like, this is why I don't do this shit. And I left empty-handed. Oh, Jay, I hate you so much. Oh. I'm not reading that out loud. So you guys can read that on the screen. Adam S., thanks again, man. Brian said Rock Hill Farms just an hour and a half. Yeah, I would do that. If it was it SRP? If it was SRP, I would totally do that. God, Glass C is very good. I don't know exactly where this is from. Part of me thinks Glass C could be actually an aged Barton product. It would be definitely a darker version of that. There's also a part of me that thinks maybe that's a Wild Turkey product. But I'm not convinced on that one. I think it's a fairly high age. I would go 13 years on the age for this, and that could even be undershooting it. Thad says, is Caribou Crossing worth getting at SRP? I really don't think so in terms of flavor profile, but the whiskey lover in me and the person that loves the presentation of it, well, if SRP is $50, I think, right? I'm sure that's the old SRP. It's probably gone up, right? Caribou Crossing MSRP. Oh, geez. Well, these are online retailers at 100, 120. Okay, $69.99. That's an understandable price increase if that's SRP from what it was 2 or 3 years ago when I got mine. Anyways, I would look, I would pay SRP for it for my first Caribou Crossing because I've had mine for 3 years. I'm so glad this is the case. It's going to prove my point. I have a store pick, okay? So you'd imagine that's a pretty good barrel. Look how much is left. Almost the entire bottle after 3 years. So it's actually a fairly good investment. If you pick one of these up, it's a good thing. People come to your house. You can give this to them if they want it. It looks beautiful, but you're not gonna breeze through this stuff. 56, yeah, buy it. I mean, depending on your budget, of course, but it's not, the juice isn't going to change your life. It's probably, yes, it's better than Crown Royal. That cork has seen better days. Yeah. It smells sappy, you know, kind of sappy, a little floral. You know, ethanol forward. Joe, that weekend you were in Indy. Sat in line for 2 hours, ended up with a Jack 12, bunch of tradable tater bottles. Yeah, man, you made out like a fat rat. 2 hours and you got all that? Congrats, dude. That's a good haul. Yeah, that when I was in Indy, I think it was like 3 days I was there for the convention, the percussion convention. Yeah, I'm basically, when I'm there, I'm stuck downtown and I can't go out anywhere. So I'm eating basically boring meals, hotel meals, just right around the convention center. I don't take my car out of the garage. Once I park, I'm there. So there's not a really better way to do it based on the layout and the scheduling of the convention itself. Single Barrel Saturday, coming December 9th. They're limiting to 1 bottle per store. I would wait in line that day, actually. The 9th? Oh, is that Friday? Oh, no, Saturday. You said Single Barrel Saturday? I think I probably have gigs that day. Yeah, that sucks. 9 a.m. rehearsal. So, a 9 a.m. rehearsal, a 2 p.m. rehearsal, and a 7 p.m. concert. I have a triple that day, so there's no hope for me. That sucks. Joe got Jack 1210 and Weller Antique. Nice, man. God, Jack 12. Is Jack 12 batch 1 or batch 2 at this point? Oh, Clay, good night, man. Oh, I need to move on. Let's go to Glass D. Again, we're with a fairly dark whiskey. So many of these are dark. Oh, Bruzel already said he is... Well, that's fine. Anyways. Ooh, Glass D. Glass D is... smells like an Old Forester, maybe Jack Daniels. There's a kind of a weird... Yeah, there's banana, but there's almost a pineapple. And that yeastiness. All right, let me show you guys what's in Glass D. Joe Dickinson says, "You've been reading the hate on Reddit." What are you guys talking about? What did he... Oh, he mentioned Bruzel. Oh, geez. I stay off of Reddit in terms of like whiskey stuff. I have no idea what's going on there. Well, Jay, look. Oh, Wilmo is killing it in the chat. All right, guys, let me show you what's in Glass D. Here we go. All right, here's the test card. Let me get the cursor set. Okay. And 3, 2, 1. There's Glass D, which, again, this thing is smelling like a brown, yes, Brown Foreman, but more like an Old Forester or Jack Daniels specifically. All right, 3, 2, 1. We should be good to go now. Cool. Jay, oh, I remember, man. I remember the interaction. Look, I'm not here to publicly, do whatever. I'm just Joe says the Ohio peeps are very upset that he said he was coming for Single Barrel Saturday. Look, man, he's got to get that content. It's like the Mr. Beast of whiskey videos, you know what I mean? And it gets a lot of subscribers, and nobody can fault anybody for that. Just depends on like what your style is, I guess, of kind of what you want to consume. Okay, I gotta leave that one though. All right, Glass D on the palate. Very good. Very good Glass D. All of these whiskeys of B, C, and D, all of them are chocolate espresso. Almost dominated on those notes. All three of them. I have some inclination that Glass D is like a Jack. Well, this could be like one of those 117 series, but this is really a dark whiskey. I mean, it's really good. In my mind, I'm trying to decipher like I would lay a lot of money on the fact that this is an Old Forester or a Jack product. I'm trying to parse out the proof and the proof and like the quality. And what I mean is, like, is this a President's Choice quality? Is this like a 117 series quality? Is this like a 1910? I don't know that the proof is high enough on this one to be something like a Jack single barrel proof or barrel proof rye. I don't know about that. You guys, I gotta stay out of the live chat right now. We gotta move to a different topic. There's just, I'm a very open and honest person, and that can get me in trouble a lot of the time. So on a live stream, I try to, not say everything that I feel about certain things. And there are reasons of why I would say those things, that have to do with what happened or didn't happen. Hope that was vague enough. There's a weird note on Glass D. I'm going to write this down. Spoiled broccoli. Yeah, there's a lot of really good on here. And then there's this, like, strange vegetable note. Like you just let broccoli sit out for too long. Yeah, Joe, I don't know, man. Mark says, let me give you something else to talk about, microphones. Mark, I don't know if that's a legitimate suggestion or something that has some hidden meaning. Class D proof. I gotta just try to guess proof on this. Actually, fairly high. It's like really proofy but thin. Oh, Mark. Specifically trying to find a microphone that would be good for us to get started doing podcasts and videos with multiple people using an H4n. So, Mark, are you thinking that everybody has their own mic, or are you thinking like a room mic? So, I think you pretty much have three options. It also depends on how many people you're talking. If it's flexible, that's an interesting challenge. You could want to have an individual mic for everybody with an extra one or two in case you have additional folks. H4n probably only has 4 inputs, right? So you could do one room mic and try to get like room coverage. I would advise against that, especially depending on your seating arrangement. You could go lavalier mics on everybody. You'd have to probably get extensions for everybody, but that's going to give, like, bang for your buck in this scenario for me is probably buying lavalier mics, giving them to everybody there, and then understanding that you're more than likely going to have to figure out some post-production stuff. Just an EQ, and then maybe some compression, maybe some noise gating, depending on how much you know about audio. And none of this stuff is challenging, and I'd be more than happy to help you, Mark. I don't know what your experience level with some of the stuff is, but let's see. Thinking I might go with this Samsung Q2. Samsung Q2. I don't even know what that is. 2XLR, the built-in, and the TRS port. Interesting, Mark. I don't want to derail too hard, but let me look at it. And the H4n Pro is $149. Yep. Mark, do you have any audio editing software? Samsung. Oh, Samson Q2. Samson is what it looks like, those mics. Scherzer 160. Let's talk about this Samson Q2U. Yeah. So they look like Shure SM 58s. That kind of classic mic style. All right, I'm going to move on to Glass E, which smells like cheese and perfume. Interesting. Cheese and perfume. And Buffalo Trace. That is a weird pour. That could be a Russell's 13. That is an interesting whiskey. What did I say? Cheese? I said cheese and something else. Cheese, perfume, Buffalo Trace. Glassy is extremely strange. Yeah, Mark, shoot me a message, man. Or we can jump on a phone call or a FaceTime or a Zoom or whatever. Yeah, Brian, I've been hearing all this stuff about these AI audio editors and curious to see what the results are like, you know? I love audio stuff, and I don't know that much about it in the grand scheme of things, but I do know what good things sound like to a degree. Like, I can't diagnose the ultra specific problems, but when it just comes to me doing my own dialogue and stuff, I can make it sound pretty good. Considering that this room is not treated, there's a lot of reflections in here because I don't have paneling or foam on the walls or anything like that. So I do actually allow the room to sound like the room. I don't try to cut all of the resonance out because it sounds really artificial that way. But the sounds that I can get from this dialogue mic, the Sennheiser, which is a really nice mic, and then this, what I use on live streams, I do think it's pretty good considering the fact, or considering those facts. But I would love to know how realistic the AI stuff sounds, or if it does make things end up sounding a little too boxy. I'm curious. I need to check those out. Joe says the Instagram channel Coming Whiskey had a good times blueberry pancake maple syrup bullshit finish thing. I bet those comments were glorious. Jay, bro. This isn't. I'm taking longer on this flight than I wanted, but thank you guys for bearing with me. I didn't want to spend too long on this, but I am having fun with it. I will say that. Also, just a quick plug, if you guys haven't seen my latest video, the Remus Gatsby Reserve Batch 2, that video is actually doing pretty well, at least for my channel. It's one of the higher performing videos in its first 1 day and 2 hour time frame is what it's telling me. So if you haven't checked that video out after the stream's done or tomorrow, whenever you have a chance, go check it out. Brian says, and Joe, I love the Gatsby too. I just don't know that the price to me, I don't know. I guess I need to revisit it. But when I made that video, I remember shooting that video and being really torn about saying, I don't think it's worth the price, but I wasn't like offended by it. I just was like, I just think we can do better at 200, you know? Like that was kind of the conclusion. And I think people, based on the comments I've received, I think people understand where I was coming from as opposed to being like, how could you say this, you know, on either side of the argument. Oh, Mark, I know enough to be dangerous. I used to do video audio editing for work, training videos, communication. I can produce semi-professional stuff. Well, there we go. Cool, man. Well, then I'm going to probably preach to the choir a little bit on this. Yeah, Joe, and this pissed me off. Like the fact that I had to pay $250 for it in Ohio, a control state. That burned me in a different way. The quality of the 2022, like Mark is saying here, also burned me. But Daniel, I actually released my video. I had no idea Matt put his out that day. Someone commented and said Matt put his video out, and I saw that, and they said that he gave it a 9.91 maybe. That's kind of crazy. I mean, I need to revisit it. But, I love when Matt and I disagree on certain pours. It's actually a lot of fun. Like, Stag Batch 15 was one back in the day. We disagreed on that. I think Elijah Craig B521 we had some pretty big disagreements about. So I love that. Matt actually asked me if I was free last Friday to jump on a stream. So maybe he and I will jump on a stream soon, and we can hash it out. I have a lot of stuff I want to send to Matt. So if we do a stream together, I got to send him some pours. I think Glass E is a Russell's 13. I don't know why that's in my head. I think Glass D has to be a Jack Daniels. Joe, Discovery 11 is going to get here on Tuesday. So my Thursday night live stream, I'll give a bottle away. I'll do like an initial review on Thursday. So not yet, but it's on the way. 3 of them. 1 backup for me if I want to keep it. 1 giveaway. And I know like that's one of those things that shows up. I've already pre-built in the fact that I know I want to give one away. So I hope it's good. You know, I always pray for that because I don't want to give away something that's not good. I suppose I could, because it's going to get here Tuesday and not right before the live stream on Thursday like some things do, I could just not do that giveaway if I don't like it. But The consensus has been that it's very good, and it's hard to get, it seems, right now. So I thought it was a safer bet to assume that a giveaway would be good. Joe says no one's going to be pissed with a free bottle of it. Yeah. I have no idea what Glass D is. It's so, so, so good. I could see that being like a President's Choice or something. But I got to make some guesses here. Okay, I'm trying to get a feel down the line of proof. All right, I'm going to change a few things here. Okay, let's get on to Glass E now. Again, real quick first impression on Glass E. This thing to me is feeling like a Russell's 13, but we'll see here. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, this click should make it full screen. I hope. And 3, 2, 1. Excuse me, we should be split screen now. Got the bourbon belches. If you just tuned in and that was the first thing you saw, sorry. Wait. I'm confused. Hang on. I gotta look in the chat here. Is not everything coming through the chat? Oh. Anyways. Sorry. 70 in here. That's awesome. Sorry about that moment I just had. All right. Glass E. Good color on this. Not... Well, it might actually be darker than D. It's probably not as dark. B was crazy dark. E has a fairly, like, it's, I think this might be the lowest proof of the flight, actually. Big grape notes on E. And you know what? I said when I first smelled this, old cheese, perfume, and Buffalo Trace, and I think all those things line up. I really think this is Russell's 13. I don't know why that's in my brain, and the proof lines up because everything here, the lowest proof I've called has been 118. Russell's 13 is 18. Well, I think it's 118.4, or is it 114.8? I can't remember. Whatever. I'll look at the bottle. Yes. Good. It's 114.8. Good. So I really think this is a Russell's 13. I really like it. And that grape note I've gotten on some of these, there is a peanut butter aspect to this. Yeah, I could see this being a Russell's 13. I'm going to have to just go with that. So if that's my my gimme, if that's my pick point on all of this, in terms of proof, I had guessed 118 proof on Glass A. It could even be lower than that. I think it's even lower than that. Glass A. I don't know what Glass A is still. No idea. But if that's 114.8, I'm going to leave Glass B because I still think it's such a special bottle. I don't even want to touch it. Glass C, I had at 124. I might even go higher than that. I might even go 126. And then Glass D, which I thought some sort of Jack Daniels, possibly Old Forester. Okay, that's hotter than I thought. That's hotter than I thought. I'm going to go Jack Daniels Barrel Proof Rye. I'm going to go up to 134 on that. Glass E, Russell's 13. Let's do the reveals. If I had to rate these in an order of my favorite to my least favorite, oh man. Okay. My order is B, E, D, C, A, with A a very distant last. Let's start with last place, Glass A. First, I thought it was an Irish whiskey. Then I said it lacks flavor, possible wheat or malt in the mash. I don't think there's rye in the mash. I think it's an American whiskey. I said 118 proof, no more than 8 years old. I'm actually going to go under 118. I'm going to, I would change that guess, and I'd probably go lower, but let's leave 118 proof. I thought it could be a Bernheim barrel proof. Let's see. Are these all turkey? There's no way these are all turkey. Glass D couldn't be turkey, but maybe E is. That Russell's. This is a turkey rare breed. 1.6. I wonder when this thing was bottled, because this tastes like a more recent rare breed. I get it now. It just lacks depth. It just lacks depth. That rare breed lacks a lot. All right, so that was a distant last place. Interesting. Glass C was the next, and I thought this could be Sourced Barton. I said 120, then I said 124, then I go 126. I think I was hedging my bets on the proof a little bit as I went along. I started to overthink. So I ended up saying 126, Sourced Barton, very possibly Wild Turkey, I said. 13 years. Okay, so I was right. Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I was right in the fact that I was edging the proof up. This is a lucky 7-14 year. I said 13. I said I think it's Source Barton. It is Source Barton. So I'm off by 8 proof points. I'm off by 1 year. Barton. I couldn't have called what that was. I literally drank this 45 minutes ago. So this exact barrel. So at least I can pour this back into my barrel or my bottle. I can have a little bit more. And this came in 4th place for me tonight because Glass D. The thing for me is it was hard to decide 3rd and 4th place between this bottle and what Glass D is, which I'm going to reveal next, which I'm assuming is a Jack Barrel Proof Rye. It's such a good, it's such a good intense flavor. The problem with Glass D is that yeasty thing is in there. It makes it taste, well, smell more, but also taste young. Even though it's so rich and intense and has so much flavor packed into it, that's my problem with it. But I still put it over this Lucky 7 because I just felt like it was more pronounced in its profile, more like certain of what it is. Whereas this Lucky 7, I will say this, even unblind, it's a little confused about what it is. So Glass D, I said Jack Barrel Proof Rye. Okay, it's a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof at 135. I said 134. I guessed rye. It's a bourbon, but I'll totally take that. It's a really nice pour. And just in terms of flavor concentration is really where this thing won out over the Lucky 7 proprietor. Okay. Second place, Glass E, I think it's a Russell's 13. This could also be a Buffalo Trace product. This is an interesting one for me. Boom. There we go. Russell's 13, LLJL. This is the second release, batch 2. So I totally nailed that one. I didn't call the batch, but I don't think I could have ever done that. Yeah. 100% Russell's 13. Came in second. Even though it did not have proof on its side in this flight, it comes down to balance on this. Glass D, which is that Jack Barrel proof, in this flight, the reason it won was flavor concentration, but it would have never won if it came down to balance. Like, let me talk about a few things that are out of balance on this, right? 1, ethanol on the nose. That's a starter. Not now in terms of flavor, not in terms of proof or anything, just flavors. That yeasty note that you get from this, because it's actually young whiskey, that makes it feel out of balance because every other part of the whiskey feels old, but that yeast note feels very young. So there's like this outlier note. So there's outlier ethanol, outlier young yeast note. So this is not going to win on the balance front. And then on the palate, it feels very like it's not delivered in a sophisticated way on the palate. It just hits you, and it's just like it's like a speed bag. It like speed bags your tongue on the way down, you know? So it's good, but it just stands out in too many ways, you know? There's no elegance to that. And then the Lucky 7, obviously I said it lost out because just the sheer flavor concentration of the Jack Daniels. Yeah, I don't know. I think this one is more balanced, but overall, this Russell's 13 definitely takes the cake. Last but not least, I said Glass B. I'm going to pour the rest of this sample now. Okay. Glass B, I'll pour the rest because I'll go with my guess. I don't think it's right, but we'll see. King of Kentucky, 131 proof, 15 years old, Brown-Forman. Let's see. Okay. I'll take it. It's a Jack Daniel's Coy Hill single barrel at 142.8. I had this as the highest proof of my flight. I was off by 11 proof points. But I don't mind that because comparatively, I had it the highest proof. I had this at the highest age at 15 years. Let's see, Russell's, the Jack single barrel, certainly not. The 14-year proprietor would be the second highest age. But when you consider heat cycled warehouses like this and these Coy Hill single barrels, which are obviously getting crazy, crazy amounts of oak, I'll take this. I said Brown-Forman. Yep, it is, but it's Jack Daniel's. It's so good. And a lot of people have said that the Coy Hills do resemble King of Kentucky, and they absolutely do. But remember, when I talked about this, when I was tasting it, 30 minutes ago, whenever that was, I said it goes a little too dark and savory and bitter. Bittersweet is what I said. It doesn't get sweet enough for me to feel like this is actually King of Kentucky. And that makes sense. The Coy Hill, I think actually I said this. I said it was very sludgy and fudgy. I always say that Coy Hill is like a fudge brownie on fire. So, all right. Coy Hill wins, as it should in this flight. I think it is the best pour of the flight, blind or unblind. I think Russell's 13. It's a toss-up for me with Russell's 13 and the Lucky 7 for what should be in second, but the Russell's wins. The real winner of the flight is just Jack Daniel's, the single barrel proof here versus the Coy Hill. Totally a relationship there that you can smell. And distant last place rare breed, and I think that's easily the right choice in this flight. So, wow. That's a great flight. So thank you, Ashton, for sending that. This Russell's 13 is going to go back in my bottle. Yep. It's the first batch on the shelf, which is nice. Okay. What a cool flight. We got that. We got the Jack single barrel proof. Don't need to save that. The Coy Hill definitely needs to be saved. And I'll put the sample next to the bottle. $142.8. And then the rare breed, that can also go away. But don't go anywhere yet. We have a few more things left to do tonight before I sign off here. I'm feeling good. Yep, a little tipsy after a 5-pour blind flight. But I think my palate and my nose are still on, which is great. I can always kind of tell when, things start to sink a little bit. But I think we're still good for now. So I'm going to clear these two glasses. We have a comparison to do between two stag batches. I know I did them last week blind along with the 22B, but we're going to do them unblind right now and just try to find a few differences between the two. I'll take that blind flight. I'll take that overall as a win. And another reason to do a blind flight right now is because on December 8th, which is a Friday, we're going to have the Matt Madness Champions matchup between Matt, myself, Grease, and Shook. A 4-way head-to-head. And I'm very excited about that. That's going to be, I think, on the Shelf Turds channel. And Bill Cavanaugh is the one that sent those samples quite a while ago. We were going to do this back in August. Something ended up happening. I think it was actually, I believe it was a Shelf Turds personal thing that ended up happening where we were not able to do that, and we kind of pressed pause. Now that I'm thinking back and remembering this, we pressed pause on everything. It says we were going to do this August 18th. So, 6 months later, we're gonna finally nail this down, and I'm very excited. I think Shayla's gonna be keeping score, doing all the tracking on the Shelf Turds channel with us with Bill Cavanaugh's samples that he sent. I still have mine in the vacuum seal over there on the table with the instructions. So, Jay, I hate you so much. A few things in the chat here. Daniel P says, the Jack Barrel Proof Rye taste that much like bourbon? I need to get one. Oh, yeah. The Jack Barrel Proof Rye, it's very, very good. I mean, actually, that Jack Barrel Proof bourbon that I just had, I don't know if that was a pick or just a regular single barrel. That was like top of the food chain Jack Barrel Proof picks that I've ever had. So yeah, I would get one of those. Toshi says, when Cam called E immediately, I heard Bruce Buffer saying, and still. I hope and still. We'll see, man. Daniel said, evidently A is mediocre Irish whiskey. In that flight, honestly, well, I started with A, though. So what was I drinking before that? Was it the Buckners? Maybe before that? It just tasted like Irish whiskey. Like, it tasted to me like a high proof 8, like Blue Spot maybe Blue Spot or Redbreast cask strength. But then when I tasted it on the palate, it did feel American to me, but it didn't feel like it had rye in the mash bill. Okay, let's do a quick stag comparison now. On your left will be 22A at 132.2. Okay, and on your right will be 23A. I believe this is at 130.2, so a 2 proof point difference. Oh, wow, it's not in Washington yet? Wow. I think in Ohio, a buddy of mine, he sent me a picture of a shelf that appeared to be full in Ohio. I don't know how long that shelf lasted. Jack Daniel Rye. See if I can find this. Barrel proof rye. How is this not? So the OHLQ thing is not good at searching for stuff. The OHLQ website. It doesn't make finding things easy. Coy Hill high proof single. It's like you need to get rid of that Coy Hill single barrel. We need to get that out of the system. Single barrel rye barrel proof. There we go. That's what I want. Let's see if it's on the map anywhere. But he sent me a picture. It was a shelf full of this stuff. Yeah, they literally have this. Daniel, if you need any of this, man, let me know, because I'm seeing this. It's all over Central Ohio. Yeah. Let me know. I could pick you up one and ship it out to you if you want one. Okay, so let's do this stag comparison quickly. Then we'll get to the mystery sample and finally the Garrison Brothers Cowboy 2023. From the blind flight last week, I did have 23A in a very close first place to this second place 22A, but I don't remember the difference. I don't remember why I liked 23A better. They smell super close right now. Daniel says, I appreciate that. I'm hoping I can find some in Texas and avoid some shipping. Cool. Yeah, man, just let me know. If you end up, I'm sure Texas has it all, so. 23A first on the palate. .23A sharp on the front. I mean, all these stags are pretty sharp on the front. You kind of have to get used to that. Where this thing blossomed was actually in the mid palate into the finish. It kind of opened up. That's when it started to ramp up, and that was nice. So from a drinking experience perspective, 23A was cool. One flavor note I'm not enjoying as it's lingering. This could be the case for both of them, so we'll see. It has like an aspartame note, like this fake sweetener thing, and I don't love that. So now 22A. Darker, but a little flatter on the palate. Not flat, just more tame. It still has a lot of good developmental qualities, but it's more tame. If I said flat, that would just mean that it's not going anywhere. It is going somewhere, but it's like on a lesser degree. But that was my first sip of 23A. That could influence this also. So in a situation like this, you can't just go side by side because your palate has now acclimated to stag. You go to the second one that you're going to sip. Because you're acclimated, it might taste underproof or less exciting. So you have to go back and forth a few times on this. So now I'm going to start with the 22A on the palate. It's just, I love 22A, and I put a review out for this. I think this is just a great example of stag. It's so, sometimes these stags get centered on different notes. Batch 15 was like vanilla, candy shop, strawberry, bright notes. Some batches, Stag Junior batch 12, that thing centered on like really oaky, dark fruits, not so candied necessarily. But 22A is very much in the grape world. 23A. It's a little bit brighter, just a little bit. Man, that's so close. It's a little more vanilla, a little bit lighter, but the drinking experience, in terms of the development on the palate, it is consistently ramping up later on the palate than 22A, which means the whole thing lasts longer and the finish lasts longer. What's up, Mojo? He says 22A tastes like cocoa to me. I could see that for sure. I'm gonna go back and forth here in a second. I gotta get a drink of water. All right, guys, let's do one more comparison. And just a quick reminder, the only one I'll do in this live stream, I promise. No giveaway tonight. If you do want to throw a super chat in the mix, would be great. Great way to support the channel, of course. Next week, next Thursday night on a late stream, probably starting at about 10:30 p.m. I know that's late, but we will be giving away a bottle of Discovery 11. So, of course, giveaway, super chats that night. That will all happen. Second place might be some sort of flight. Maybe it'll be a full Discovery flight. I don't know. I don't have a batch 10. I need to figure that out. But we'll see about that. But yeah, anyways, if anyone wants to support tonight, throw a super chat in the mix. No big deal. No giveaway. But next week, be ready for that Discovery 11. Okay, let's see. And yeah, Mojo says hit that like button. Yeah, please hit that like button, guys. All right. These are really close. These are really, really close on the nose. Here's what I'm going to say. 23A on the nose. It tingles my nostrils. I don't mean that sexually, although take it how you will. But 23A, like it legitimately is tingling my senses, right? Because it's 10% brighter with this extra vanilla note. And I love that vanilla note. 22A, the tingle is not there. It's a little more dull. But with that dullness comes more of that grape note. And like Mojo said in the chat, like there's a more chocolatey cocoa kind of note on the nose. And those notes, because they're darker, are not jumping out of the glass as much. Subjectively, I like the darker notes more. But in terms of like an objective view, like an objective view of these two, when I'm nosing them, I like 23A better because it's jumping out of the glass. It's more inviting. And then on the palate, let's start with 22A. It's very good. A little savory front end. A little like mushroom kind of note to it. It's rolling back. It doesn't blossom in the finish. It falls off. Now 23A. Enjoyable nose, a little brighter. But it's kind of bright and abrasive on the palate, even though it does have better development. This is why last week in the blind I had such a hard time between these two. If I could call this a tie, I would, but I'm going to stick with what I said last week because there's not irrefutable evidence to overturn that decision. I'm going to stick with 23A as being superior, but if you like darker stag, you got to go 22A. If you like brighter stag, sweeter, if you like batch 15, and also if you just want a longer drinking experience, then you go 23A. And that's going to be my winner. My winner tonight, I would say if 23A is 100 out of 100, which it's not, like in the broad scale of whiskey, but if tonight that's 100 out of 100, this is like 97.5. It's very close. But I understand why last week I gave 23A the win. I also understand why I was kind of conflicted in giving it the win after tasting these side by side again. JG says blend them. It's basically a 50-50 blend. So good idea. One of the few good ideas that JG has ever had in the live chat. Joe, did I give 22A the win? I thought I gave 23A the win. I got to go back and rewatch. I think maybe I talked... Really? I got to go check that out again. I thought maybe I talked myself into 22A after the fact. A 50-50 blend, which usually is not a proportion that works. Usually you need like a dominant thing in the blend. 50-50 blend of 23 and 22A. Very, very good. Jay. All right. 2 last orders of business to attend to tonight, also known as whiskeys to drink. But first, Toshi coming in with a really generous super chat. Adam S. first, Toshi now. Thank you, Toshi, man. $50 super chat directly to the Venmo. So that is... Thank you. Toshi says, always enjoy the content, buddy. Toshi, I appreciate it, man. And this next pour, I will say cheers to you, but thank you, Toshi. All right. What do we got to do here? Mystery pour. Daniel says, after all the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof and Stag last time, I'm surprised you remember anything. Yeah, you know, like in the moment, I remember being like, yeah, I feel good. I have to trust myself, but tonight, I'll go back and rewatch that Stag tasting portion and compare that to what I said tonight and see how that compares. But the Elijah Craig, I think what I've decided to do for that one is I'm going to shoot like an isolated, pre-recorded, edited video. I'm going to shoot with the same 4 pours, you know, all the 2023s plus C922, and see how that comes out. And let's see if C922 wins and B523 is in second and C923 is in third. Because if that happens, I'm going to feel vindicated, at least for my palate, in that. For right now, I'm still questioning, you know, I had already done the Stag Flight at that point. I'd already tasted everything before the Stag Flight, whatever that was on that stream last week. But if it comes out the same way, I will feel vindicated. All right, Zach Butler, are you still here tonight? I know it's 2 hours basically into the stream. Zach, are you still here? If you are, I will taste your mystery pour because I don't have an answer for what this is. So I don't want to taste it if I can't provide an answer. But if you are here, Zach, let me know, and I will get into this. Joe Dickinson says, if you're drinking Stag, it's a winner. Not all the time, but most times, yes. I hated batch 17 of Stag. Oh, I got the bourbon belches close to the hiccups. Not good. So let's give Zach Butler a second to reply if he is in fact here tonight. If not, I have to wait on his mystery pour because I don't have an answer for what this is. I'll send him an email real quick. I don't have his phone number. About to do it if you're in the chat. If not, but you are still awake, can you send the answer? Question mark. Okay. So let's see if Zach gets back to me in the next, 2 minutes. Otherwise, the last pour of the night is going to be this Garrison Cowboy 2023 at 140.9 proof. I'll go ahead and pour that, get that out in the glass. It's 140.9 proof. It could, it could probably do with a little time in the glass. So let's pour that. I'm going to get one fresh glass for this possible mystery pour. I guess Toshi says, yeah, the Cowboy could use 10 to 15 minutes of air, in my opinion. I did tell Zach I was doing this tonight. He said he would be here, but he was here at the beginning of the stream. But we're like 2 hours deep now, so I would absolutely not blame him, if he signed off. I will pour out his mystery pour. Let's let that get some air, because it's incredibly dark. I mean, in fact, it is as dark as the Cowboy Bourbon. So, I don't know what that means, but we'll see. Smells like, it smells a little crafty. The word hominy comes to mind. I haven't had hominy in 15 years, maybe. I gotta type it into Google. Hominy is finely ground to make masa, Spanish for dough. Okay. What is hominy? Hominy is corn, but not straight off the cob. Hominy is whole kernels of dried field corn that have been, gotta click through, nixtamalized, a process that cooks have been doing since ancient times, starting with those living in what we now call Mesoamerica. The corn kernels are soaked in lye or lime solutions and then rinsed several times, which removes the hulls and turns the inner kernels tender and plump. Okay. So to me, I'm like, hominy. That's a note that I'm calling out on this mystery sample, which we may not find out tonight what it is. Mexican chocolate, which is, cinnamon, hot chocolate, hominy. Interesting nose on this mystery sample. Feels high proof, very dark whiskey. But we may... Well, very crafty. Ooh. We may have to wait... Oh, wow. Prunes. Raisin prune. Yowza. Soil. That's intense. It's not bad, but you got to be in a mood for this, I don't know what this is. Could be a Texas whiskey. Could be a Kings County, But we may have to find out next week, on Thursday night when Zach's back in action. So we'll come back to that. Let's move on now to the final pour of the night. Cowboy Bourbon 2023, 140.9 proof. I actually want to compare whatever that mystery pour is to this Cowboy Bourbon, excuse me. The Cowboy feels less funky, actually, on the nose. Cowboy is... How would you describe a Texas whiskey to somebody that has never had a Texas whiskey? That would be hard. Okay. Toshi, it would be funny, actually, if they were the same. I don't believe they are. No, the mystery pour is more... Again, the word that I'm getting in my brain is hominy. It's more corn forward. And it smells like you're out in a field. Like you're just standing in a field. my elementary school that I went to was basically surrounded by cornfields. Like, you would go out on the playground, recess, but, you know, let's say that whole area was cut into the fields in like a square form. On every corner of the playground was cornfields. That's what this smells like. The mystery pour. Whereas the Cowboy Bourbon, more intense on the palate, or on the nose, I guess. They are actually kind of close. I don't think they're the same though. Oh, Zach Butler is here. He says, which batches of Stag did you like the best when it was still a junior? For me, it's 12. I have never tasted... Amy Bohm sent me an older batch than that. I don't remember which one it was, if it was 6, 9, or 11. But I've heard that 6, 9, and 11 are also considered to be very good batches. I have tasted one of those from Amy. I don't remember which one it was. I want to say it was 6, but I don't know. So for me, Zach, it is batch 12. So I really like batch 12. What's up, Roy? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving as well, man. So so Zach, now I'm gonna go back to your mystery pour for a second. Now, Zach, you're in New York. I'm gonna keep that in mind. I pulled a sample because I knew that fact. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I think I know what you sent me. Zach, I'm going to guess that the mystery sample you sent me is a Kings County barrel proof. Could be private barrel. I have no idea. But I just pulled this blend to taste it, and I had this sample ready because I knew you were from New York. I looked at the color and I thought, I don't know what that could be. So I pulled this sample of Kings County barrel strength, 65%. I don't know who sent this to me. My guess is Kings County. Yes, it is. So very crafty on that one. And that was what, has up to this point turned me off of Kings County until I got my hands. Again, I'll talk about this. Alex Halverson sent me this 200 milliliter taster, I guess, of, his private blend with he did with some friends at Kings County. And this has a lot of different ages in it, has a lot of different barrel sizes, up, I think from 15 up to 53 gallon barrels. And this is remarkably more balanced than this mystery sample and this other sample of a 65% barrel strength Kings County that I have. All that to say, I think this private blend achieved what it was meant to, which was to balance out the Kings County profile by using these different barrel sizes and different ages of whiskey. Do I love this single barrel that Zach sent? I don't love it. No. It's a whiskey that if I were to drink this, I would have to be outside with a lot of conflicting smells in the air, and this would cut through that, and I would like it at that point Right now, when I compare it to these other things I've had tonight, it's definitely not my favorite. There we go. Zach says 15-gallon barrel, which makes sense why it's so crafty. Char 3, 69.2, 6 years old. Yeah. And at this point, totally feeling these pours. You know, we have one more left, which is the Cowboy Bourbon we're going to get into. And I said the Kings County felt younger than the Cowboy Bourbon. Totally agree with that. Makes sense. 6 years old. So let's... Toshi says, Cam, you've headshotted 3 bottles tonight. Called out that if B wasn't King of Kentucky, then it was probably Coy Hill. Did I say that when I tasted it? I actually don't remember saying that. You're on one tonight. Don't use up all the skills before December 8th. I'm going to try not to. But yeah, I do feel fairly good about tonight. I mean, I haven't... You can't nail everything, but I have gotten close on quite a few things. I did say that. Wow. I'll take it. So now on to the Cowboy 2023 from Garrison Brothers. 140.9. Let's see. Gosh, what is that note? So, in this hand, on your right side of the screen, I have the mystery pour, which is that Kings County private barrel. And here's the Garrison Brothers. How can I describe this? Have you guys ever been around pigs? Like, on a farm. Pigs on a farm. Yeah. So, Garrison Brothers 2023 Cowboy smells to me legitimately like being around pigs on a farm. And I don't say that to be cute or to try to, you know, capture what you imagine the Cowboy Bourbon of Texas smells like. It really smells like pigs on a farm. Hay, like muck, dirt, outdoors. Yeah, the wood, you know, like wood and barn notes, 100%. That's what I'm smelling on Cowboy 2023. I'm also smelling prunes, like really dry, dark fruit notes, like prunes. I don't know how else to put this. It's pungent. But it's man, I'm telling you guys. Okay. This is the best way I can describe this because individual tasting notes, when you talk about like cherry, dark fruit, berry, oak, leather, like that does not do this justice, and that likely has to do with the grains they're using, and it's got to be a terroir thing, like the heat of Texas for sure, but the grains they're using, perhaps the barrel size. I don't know what Garrison Brothers barrels are. This reminds me of like being at a farm, and I've been at, look, I'm in Central Ohio. People might not believe that we have farms and farmland. We do, or we did. When I was growing up, you would go to somebody's house in the marching band. Yes, I was in the marching band. And you would have like the whole marching band there on someone's farm. You're going to do a bonfire. But before the bonfire starts, right? You're there, you're hanging out with your friends. You can smell the cows, the horses, the mud, the soil, the manure, the outdoors, the hay. Then you start the bonfire. You get smoke. You get smoke. You get this like, I don't know how to describe it if you've never experienced that. It's like you're on a farm, you're having a bonfire. It's like farm smells and smoke smells, you know? That's what Garrison Brothers Cowboy smells like. And the name is appropriate. And I mean, I like it for what it is. When would I drink this? I would never drink this in my house wanting to taste like a super high quality whiskey. I would only drink this if I was hanging out with people outside. I would have to be outside because this is going to cut through all the outdoor aromas. That's the only time I would drink this. So I would never buy a bottle of this. Maybe I would buy one bottle of Garrison Brothers Cowboy, and it would probably last me like 4 to 8 years. All right. I purposefully did not look at the chat because I didn't want to be influenced. Yeah, I didn't know what I was going to see. It also, to me, smells like raisins. Like all the things I've talked about with farms and a bonfire on a farm. Now let's add on raisins. Let's add on blueberry pancakes. And like, yeah, maple syrup, blueberry pancakes, raisins. I don't love this, but I think it has a place, and that's why this should exist, you know? Kyle Taylor says, to be honest, when I think of Ohio, I only think of farms, said as someone from the Northeast, but still Middle West, kind of Middle West. Yeah. That one time at band camp, it's all farmland or mostly farmland in Mid-Ohio. When I was growing up, definitely. 20 years ago, it was cornfields. It still has a lot of cornfields, but a lot of that's been developed. Roy says, like Springbank, there is a little Springbank kind of like unique terroir aspect to this, I guess. CH says, I get it. It's like the Michter's 20 year you tried. No, the Michter's 20 year I will take any day over this, but that's okay. Zach says, on a scale of 1 to 10, where does the Junkies 13th Colony Rye sit for you? Well, let's see. I'm going to take one rip off the top. Oh, that's like an 8.4. 8.4. Cowboy is 7.5, but with restrictions to the environment that I drink it in. Daniel, probably right. You only buy it once. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Zach Butler, for all of these amazing samples. Stag 23A, the mystery sample, which is a Kings County single barrel, And of course, it's Cowboy 2023. No giveaway tonight. I will be back next Thursday with Discovery 11. We will give one of those away and probably a second prize as well with some samples. That's going to do it. Would I trade a Garrison Cowboy for a Stag 16? It just depends on what you like. I don't know what the values, SRP or secondary, both of those. And Zach, if you want to talk further about that, email me. I'll give you my phone number. We can text about it. But I'm going to pee my pants right now, which is why I'm going to get off here very quickly so I don't extend this live stream. Cheers, everybody. Whiskey cheers, whiskey dreams, and good night, all. Texas runner, that's funny. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Cheers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. I'll see you next time here on Drums and Drams next Thursday night. I'll try to have a video out before then. If not, then I will see you then.